Whatever the occasion, effortless elegance is right this way. Because Hilton brings you new ways to stay courtesy of the Nomad London. And it doesn't stop at award-winning dining in a space draped in velvet and illuminated by vintage chandeliers. No, this day goes beyond with unparalleled personalized service and attentive hospitality. Oh, and did we mention the Nomad London can be booked using your Hilton Honors points at Hilton.com? Hilton, for the stay.
Are your business expenses playing hide and seek? With Uber for Business, the small spends that slip through the cracks, like rides and meals, go right where you need them. Because it integrates with leading expense platforms, you can say goodbye to surprise costs, missing dollars, or chasing receipts. Everything's track-downable. Uber for Business. Make small steps that make a big impact. Learn more at uber.com/small steps.
Llegaron los nuevos McCrispy Strips, listos para aventurarse en la mezcla de mayo ketchup, la barbecue que quedó en el fondo de la cajita, hot fudge sundae y en la nueva creamy chili McCrispy Strip Dip. Los nuevos McCrispy Strips, ahora en McDonald's. Para pa pa pa.
Hey everyone, welcome to this edition of Keep Watch Pass on the It's Not That Bad podcast channel and a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. All right, we occasionally like to sit there and come up with many questions and with rules and the whole works just to try to find topics in order to put onto this little bit of a game of ours. And as we were coming up with a list of topics to cover for the rest of the year, Carrie came up with this really good one. Movies with a color in the title. And here to join me, the creator of this idea, my lovely wife, Carrie. Carrie, how are you doing?
Well, to be quite honest, right now I'm tasting colors.
That's what happens when you make the spiciest of Caesars and you drink it while you're recording. By the way, if Carrie happens to go quiet, dial 911. If the show ends before the show ends, dial 1.
Well, I mean, right now I'm breathing fire, so.
Right. Okay, so we are doing movies with a color in the title. And this is kind of similar to when we did movies with a number in the title. So obviously the color has to be listed in the title. But I don't know about you, but I gave myself an extra rule to go along with this.
I had no rules.
The only extra rule I gave myself is that I could only use a color once.
Okay,
so
fair.
I don't know if you did the same thing or if you inadvertently did it or actually set out to do that, but that's the extra rule I gave myself because kind of the fun of these games, and really these are the kind of games that you would play like in the car in order to pass by like a long road trip, and you add little extra things just to make it that much more challenging and make you think, which actually makes the car drive go by so much faster. And if that is the kind of person that you are who would play these car games, you're probably sitting in your car right now going, well, what movies would I keep and watch and pass with a color in the title? And you start to run through all the movies in your head. And yeah, you're welcome. I'm sorry, not sorry. You're thinking now, but all the times we played these kind of car games on long road trips. All right, let's get started. Rather than me sitting here and diatribe, Carrie, your keep film with a color in the title.
I am keeping, and I really hope that these characters do reach their destination, Harold and Kumar, on their journey to White Castle.
Nice. I didn't even think about that one.
But you know why I picked it?
Of course, because NPH.
NPH.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your teenage heart go boom. I get it. I understand. Your Doogie Howser crush continues. I'm calling you out.
Okay. I don't disagree.
You called me out during the movies with 80s sitcom stars about my little Christina Hodge crush from Head of the Class, and I'm calling out your NPH right here, right now. But yeah, Harold and Kumar go to White Castle. That movie shouldn't have been as funny as it was. Really, on paper, that film shouldn't have worked, and yet it was freaking hilarious. Like, I love when you get a film that on paper, the pitch treatment, like think about the elevator pitch, right? The title alone should have like moved studios away from like, what the hell are you trying to spend our money on? But it works. It's one of the most I wouldn't say out there, but it's definitely one of the most memorable movie titles of recent history, right up there with Snakes on a Plane.
Yeah, but you do know that I love a good road trip comedy.
Oh, absolutely.
And this had all the makings of that. The stoner comedy, the road trip. I mean, NPH being so completely self-aware as NPH, but completely out of his mind version of NPH, which it was so funny from start to finish. However, I love this movie. I don't agree with the second. I don't think
Escape from Guantanamo Bay.
It should not have been a sequel.
Yeah, no, and was it the Christmas one, the 3D one yet? No.
Well, that was funny because it had Danny Trejo.
Well, yes, because Danny Trejo was awesome. No, I think a movie like that, like White Castle, should just stand on its own. But I understand when you have something that probably didn't cost as much money as major blockbusters, but definitely made money at the box office and then definitely in DVD sales.
Well, at least the $12.99 for the combo.
Exactly, right?
When they finally reached White Castle.
Which, how have we never gone to White Castle yet?
We stayed at a hotel right next to a White Castle by design.
And we didn't go.
And we did not go.
No, because we wanted to hit the road. One of these days, if we ever make our way back to the States, we will stop at a White Castle, I promise you.
American friends, please write to us and tell us, what is the deal with the White Castle burger?
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't understand.
Enlighten us. Tell us, what are we missing up here in Canada?
Yeah. Also, is there a White Castle in Canada?
I don't think there is.
It's a franchise. Why hasn't someone brought a White Castle up here?
I don't know.
We also don't have a Sonic up here either.
We should have a Sonic.
We should have a Sonic. Their drinks are fantastic.
And a umami burger.
Umami burger.
Oh.
Okay, we're really hungry now as we're recording this, so we should stop talking about food.
But you know what we do have that they don't? We got Harvey's. Boom. Wait.
Is that your selling point?
Is Harvey's?
Yeah, it's Canadian. That's your selling point?
Are they not in the States, though?
I don't know if they're in the States.
Over the border, have they?
I don't know.
Oh.
But that's what you're hanging your head on? It's Harvey's?
And ketchup chips.
Oh, ketchup chips, yes. Take that. Boom. But they also have RC Cola and we don't.
That's okay. I'm okay with that.
Oi. Love my RC Cola. See, this is the problem with like foods that don't necessarily cross the border, right? And you know people who would like come from the States to here and then like load up on bags and bags and bags of ketchup chips and bring them back over the border. I know I had brought RC Cola from the States back to Canada because
$40 US all in RC Cola. I didn't think it was possible. Oh, friends, it's possible.
Oh, it is entirely possible. I cleaned out the entire RC Cola section of a grocery store.
At the border. Sir, do you have anything to declare?
Victory.
Yes, victory. A trunk full of ghetto pop.
Boy, you're going to sit here on this podcast, on our podcast, and diss my favorite cola that I cannot have here.
Yep. Just did.
Harsh, girl. Harsh. Dear makers of RC Cola, there's a sad, lonely soul up here in the greater Toronto area who misses your tasty beverage. Please, RC Cola, come back to Canada. Come back.
Whew. I'm sad for you.
I'm sad for me too. But I'm not sad about my keep pick. I'm going to geek out a little bit here. Okay? I'm going with a film that was released direct to DVD. Animated film. Because you know I'm a geek. I'm going with Superman Red Sun. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with Superman Red Sun, this is an alternate take taken from the comic books of what would happen if instead of in Smallville, Superman crashed in Soviet Russia. And it is a really fascinating alternate what if kind of thing on the DC universe. It was a great comic book line. It is actually this is when DC animated universe kicked ass. Leading up to, and I think the last really, really, really good one was Justice League Dark Apocalypse War. And then it went into like the Tomorrow section of animated films, and I kind of dropped off. But that entire run leading up to Justice League Dark Apocalypse War was fantastic. Superman Red Son was one of the one-off ones, but holy crap, was it good. Absolutely good. And I know you're sitting there going, yeah, I probably slept through that one. Because you do, as I geek out. But really, as I've said before, there was a stretch where obviously Marvel was killing it in live action films. No question, the MCU, especially phase 1, phase 2 era. But DC, as much as they were okay with their live action films, with their DCEU, and their TV shows were good, but their animated films, that animated universe that DC put together, holy crap, was it good. Better, really, than the live action. And I stand by that one. Even though there are some films from that era, from the animated universe, that do actually qualify. Looking at you, Batman the Killing Joke, it's really hard to disavow what they were able to do with their animated films. For my watch pick, and I know we're not that far off from talking a whole lot of Steve Martin over on Three Amigos, so I'm going to go with another Steve Martin film. But I'm not picking it necessarily for Steve Martin. I'm picking it because Jean Reno steals every scene that he's in The Pink Panther, the remake of the old Blake Edwards films. Holy crap, The Pink Panther. Steve Martin in all his slapstick glory, but Jean Reno. Whenever Jean Reno does comedy, just his mannerisms steal every single scene. Even, and I know it's not supposed to be considered a comedy, but the 1998 Godzilla film, I consider his role in that to be comedic relief. And he, as much as I love Maria Patillo in that film, Jean Reno is just an absolute star in that film because he's so ridiculously funny. Like, he kept the tone so light and stole every scene. The Pink Panther is fan-freaking-tastic. I was not expecting much from this remake. I really wasn't. But Steve Martin and Jean Reno together are brilliant. And come on. If I mention the Steve Martin Pink Panther film and your instant response is, I would like an hamburger, infinitely quotable.
What does every USAA member have in common? Family. We're one big family who supports the military community and their eligible families. And if you, your parent, or spouse served, you could join our family and save big on auto insurance. Visit USAA.com/join today to check your eligibility. Membership eligibility and product restrictions apply and are subject to change. USAA means United Services Automobile Association and its affiliates, San Antonio, Texas.
Smart Water Alkaline with antioxidant. 9.5 plus pH, now in cans.
Refreshing.
Made for every way you move.
Should I run a marathon?
Let's start with finishing that water. Smart Water Alkaline with antioxidant, now in a sleek can. For those with a taste for taste. Grab yours today.
I think you're on mute.
Workday starting to sound the same?
I think you're on mute.
Find something that sounds better for your career on LinkedIn. With LinkedIn Job Collections, you can browse curated collections by relevant industries and benefits, like flex PTO or hybrid workplaces, so you can find the right job for you. Get started at linkedin.com/jobs. Finding where you fit. LinkedIn knows how.
Carrie, what's your watch pick for movies with a color in the title?
Well, I'm keeping in line with you picked the color red, and I am going with the red one, or red one, if you will. This movie, as far as I understand, was also, it's a contender for It's Not That Bad. It was panned by the critics. And I think that's sad. I think The Rock was fantastic. Chris Evans, freaking funny. He was so funny. Like, I think actually my favorite part of this movie. He played such a bad guy, but yet again, you warm up to him. He's so likable that, he's just really a dad who has a bad job, and he's not a bad guy. And Santa always sees the good in everyone. He sees the good.
I will admit, because, I mean, in fairness, The Rock hasn't really had that good a string of films lately. I am going to say this right now on this podcast, and I may eat my words later on, but just going on the trailer that I have seen, I'm going to make a bold statement right now. Come award season, Dwayne Johnson is going to get nominated for Best Actor for The Smashing Machine. He looks so good in that. That film looks fantastic. Red 1, you're right. It's surprisingly fun. I'll admit, I wasn't expecting much. I was expecting Dwayne Johnson to come in and Dwayne Johnson all over the place. And he kind of did a little bit.
He was dialed down.
Yeah.
He took the back seat. And I think that was great. I think that's probably what the critics had wrong with the movie.
Yeah. I mean, there are times when an actor has just a bad stretch of films. And you see that with maybe an actor like Nick Cage, right, who just takes any role that comes their way. And I understand, too, that Dwayne Johnson has this aura of an ego, it feels like, in certain things. Like, this is the guy that in the lead up to Black Adam, he was like, the power balance in the DC universe is shifting. Like, no, it didn't. Your movie sucked. But I think little by little, he's getting back to acting, right? Because in Be Cool, he was awesome. Scene Stealer. And in Southland Tales, he was very much acting. That's not a Rock performance. That's not a Dwayne Johnson performance. That was acting. And then he kind of did the same role over and over and over again, but just different scenarios.
Even when he's The Rock or Dwayne Johnson as The Rock or vice versa, like Jumanji, I liked him in that.
The thing with Jumanji is that he kind of played, he made fun of the stereotype that he was, which was kind of funny, right?
Yeah.
That's that tongue in cheek. Here, I think it also kind of plays into it because it's a Christmas film too. You can kind of have a little fun with it. J.K. Simmons as Santa Claus.
Oh my God, he was cut.
Right? J. frickin' Jonah Jameson as Swole Claus.
I love what they did with Santa, though. Instead of they even made fun of it, like with the whole cookie thing, his favorite cookies. But you could tell this Santa, he don't have the cookies. He might have a protein bar, maybe. But yeah.
By the way, you are not wrong. 30% tomatometer.
I know, and that's sad. This is the kind of movie that I would watch every Christmas because, again, it has that turnabout between the naughty list and they wind up, the worst kid on the naughty list winds up saving the day, like put in that position of becoming the hero and having that turnabout, from being not a bad dad. I wouldn't say he was a bad guy, but maybe non-present to, finding the joy in spending time with his son and family. And it was, it was a good movie. I enjoyed it. I'd watch it again. And I mean, come on, like Lucy Liu was brilliant. It was again the good and the bad and bad versus evil versus Santa Claus. It was so good.
Yeah. I'm sure somewhere down the road, this is going to be like one of our Christmas films that we cover. So yeah, I don't want to get too much into it and start to really dissect it because you're right. It does qualify, and we should put it on the list. But now we get to the downside of things here. What is your pass movie with a color in the title?
Do you feel groovy, baby?
Oh.
I am passing on Gold Member. Sorry, Austin Powers. I disliked this movie. And I like the Austin Powers movies. I like the character of Austin Powers.
Yeah.
But I didn't enjoy Gold Member.
I get that because the jokes, they started to feel a little tired. And I don't know, maybe it's just me. I wasn't a big fan of Beyonce in the role either.
You know what? I didn't want to say that, but since you did, here we are.
Yeah.
I think it was, I don't know. I think overall it was almost kind of like, here we have this great property. Let's beat it to death.
Yeah.
Oh, and throw Beyonce.
We don't need a third film, right?
Yeah.
We said exactly everything that we needed to say with the original Austin Powers International Man of Mystery with Elizabeth Hurley, who was so good in that, and Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me, with, of course, Heather Graham in the role of Felicity Shagwell.
Which was just brilliant.
Yes.
I think that one was actually my favorite. If you left it at 2, I'd have been okay with that.
I think you can take there's a parallel here. Follow me along with this one here. So in Back to the Future, the original, they go back to the past and then they go back to the future, right? And then in 2, they go to the future and then they go back to the past. I'm not a big fan of Back to the Future Part 3. I felt like that was just a touch too much.
The Western one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man. And now, Austin Powers, we start in the past and we go to the future, right? And then with The Spy Who Shagged Me, we're in the future, but then we go back to the past. Did we really need the third one? Nah. It has that kind of Back to the Future kind of beat to it, time travel included. There are fun parts in it. There's the scene where they're interrogating the Japanese businessman and the subtitles are being cut off by everything that's white in the shot. Shiitake mushrooms, all good. But yeah, the humor just kind of, it felt like they were treading the same treadmill. And meh. Okay, I know you like Samuel L. Jackson. But I think you'll agree with me when I say I'm going to pass on Black Snake Moan. It's tough, right? Because Samuel L. Jackson is great in it. No question about that. Christina Ricci is fantastic in it. Justin Timberlake can be give or take in that one, even though I don't mind Justin Timberlake as an actor. I loved what he did in Time. I'm still not quite sure what the this movie is all about. You've got Samuel L. Jackson as some blues playing recluse kind of thing. Christina Ricci is apparently turned on by music. I don't know. Something. I don't know what Black Snake Moan is about. That's the thing. You can sit there and marvel at the intensity that these actors put into these roles and still have no clue what the hell is going on. I don't understand the film. I can appreciate the art. I can appreciate the actors' performances. No idea. Fill me in. Do you know what the hell this movie is about?
No, you're right. Like Sam Jackson, especially, I think that was one of his darkest characters. And that's a bold statement right there. But
yeah,
it really was out of, I don't want to say out of character because he's an actor, for God's sake. So
yeah,
that's what he does. But it was out of his regular Sam Jackson wheelhouse. And I respect that. I thought it was great. Again, now that I think of it, because I know we watched the movie a while ago, and I'm just trying to think of more so how it ended, or, how it got there, how Christina Ricci got to the point where she was tied to a chain, almost like.
Yeah, I'm just going to read like the one-liner from Wikipedia here. The plot focuses on Mississippi bluesman who holds a troubled local woman captive in his house in an attempt to cure her of nymphomania. How?
So he ties her up to a chain to cure her
Yeah.
of a sex addiction. That's the plot.
That's a plot.
Okay, but do you remember how it ends? I don't remember. Did she escape?
It's not that she escaped. Like she was cured, quote unquote, and she drove off, like reconnected with Justin Timberlake, and they got back together, and they drive off, and their drive off is like this, like, okay, we're back together, and then they have that moment where like they're kind of looking out the window, and they're not quite sure if either of them are really ready for this and really ready to move on. Strong, powerful performances in a film that I don't quite understand.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm not saying I'm a cinephile by any stretch of the imagination. I love film. I'm not saying I get it all the time, but I can appreciate the work even if I feel lost by the plot. All right, Carrie, before we go, please remind our listeners what your Keep Watch and Pass picks are of films with a color in the title.
I am keeping Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle. I'm watching Red One and passing on Austin Powers Goldmember.
All right, I am keeping Superman Red Sun, the animated direct-to-DVD film. I am watching the Steve Martin, Jean Reno starring The Pink Panther, and I am passing on Black Snake Moan. Carrie, thank you so much for this. And to you, our dear listeners, you guys know the drill. If there is a movie out there that you think is unfairly maligned or a topic that you want us to cover on Keep Watch Pass, hit us up on social media at NotThatBadcast or go to our website at NotThatBadcast.com. And while you're there, make sure you check out our merch section so you can check out all the t-shirts that we have there in all of their various colors. Until next time, she's Carrie, I'm Jay. You guys are awesome. This is Keep Watch Pass on the It's Not That Bad podcast channel and a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Take care.
This is the Music City San Francisco podcast. Welcome to our weekly show focused on the musical revolution in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Hi, so my name is Mitch. I'm in a band called Mitch Rocket. There definitely is a musical revolution going on in the Bay Area right now.
Each week we will bring you the latest in music news from around the city, around the Bay, and around the world. Metallica always bring in the fire, and this show in Mexico City for the M72 tour was no exception. We have our correspondents with their boots on the ground reporting on events all across the Bay Area.
Hello, this is Walter Atkins, award-winning photographer and a journalist for about 15 years now.
We will be joined in our studio by featured guests, where I'll be talking about all things music, including being a musician, songwriting, the process of recording, mixing, touring, gear, and everything in between. We have a very special guest sitting right next to me, and I'd like to say welcome to Music City, Shauna Hall.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
The podcast is recorded and produced at the recently opened epicenter for the music scene called Music City, San Francisco, located at the edge of the Tenderloin on the corner of Bush and Polk Street.
And Music City is lifting up and elevating the music scene in San Francisco.
It's a place where music lovers and musicians can come together.
I will be your host, Brad Nofel, and I will guide you through the scene and to the shows. The Music City San Francisco podcast available every week from your favorite podcast distributors. Brought to you by Pantheon Media, Televisions Unlimited, and Music City San Francisco, home of the revolution.
This is the Music City San Francisco podcast. We've got our ear to the ground to bring you the sound.